I found this video yesterday, but it's almost a year that this debate happened. With, on the left, Mosab Hassan Yousef, an ex-Hamas soldier, and his father was a Hamas leader. And on the other side, we have Cenk Uygur, who is an American, and he's Turkish, and he basically on the left and sides with the Democrats.
Barbaric, was a genocide motivated by sick religion. They attempted to ethnically cleanse a race, a human race. And this is a capital crime that cannot be forgiven. The situation to legitimize such a movement, give them legitimacy, and after that, in fact, to sit down on the negotiating table, then reward them with a state and political gain and financial gain. This is exactly what they wanted. Hamas, on October 7 in the morning, they killed Jewish children for revenge. In the afternoon, they killed Arab children, their own children. And by the way, this is a Palestinian practice to sacrifice their own children for political and financial gain. This is the essence of their game. And I am a living example. If you look at me, when my father had to choose between his Hamas Palestinian ideology and his own son, he chose the non-existential. He chose Allah over his son. And this is a living example to show you how these people function. They are willing to sacrifice not only 40,000 Gazans, they are willing to sacrifice an entire region religiously for something that does not exist. So with that said, Israel has no choice. It's not only about the children and the civilians of Gaza. It's about also the future of an entire generation in the Middle East. And I don't think there is a way around eradicating Hamas and removing them from power. We may suffer right now, and the Gazans may suffer, but the future will be bright without, at least brighter without Hamas.
Yeah, I mean, he did this ode to children, and I agree. 34 kids were killed on October 7th. That's heartbreaking. 15,000 Palestinian children have been killed.
They killed every child they found on October 7. If they found 10,000 children, they would have killed 10,000 children.
Okay.
It is not about head count.
Okay, so I'm not excusing a single child that Hamas killed, but it seems like you're saying, 15,000 Palestinian kids. So what? Israel had to do it. We have to eradicate Hamas.
Don't put words in my mouth.
In this situation, Cenk uses this thing just to prove his point that he's on the right side. Mosab never said that a life doesn't matter. But there is one thing we need to know about the Gaza Strip. Right now, there is around 2.1 million people on the Gaza Strip. And Gaza is one of the most dense places in the world right now. If I remember correctly, the size of Gaza is around 365 square kilometers. This is a very dense place. So, the children now are estimated by the UN reports, of course, are 15 to 18,000 deaths. And many confirms that the age was under 12 years old. But there is not only the children that dies over this war. We have 13 to 15,000 women, men that do not fight, 18 to 22,000, and Hamas fighters that are around 6 to 10,000. The reports from the IDF is basically around 13,000. Israel claims 10,000 Hamas fighters have been killed, and the UN analysis says around 6 to 8,000. But we need to understand that Gaza Strip, the average age is 19.5 years old. And 47% of the people in Gaza Strip is under 18 years old. So that's according to the UN. This is not my numbers. What we see from that is that Hamas uses civilians and children as a protective wall around them. And this is the bad thing about a terrorist group.
Don't put words in my mouth, and don't think
Oh,
that you hold the higher
Mosab,
moral ground.
I do.
Mosab,
Those are my children, those are my brothers and my sisters,
I don't
and
think
you are
they
not.
are.
Don't pose
You don't even
as
think
the
they
one you
exist.
care more. You don't care more than I do for the Palestinian children
I
or
definitely
for
do.
the Arab children.
All right,
The
all right,
reason
all right,
why
all right.
are they suffering? This is the
Mosab,
most important thing.
Mosab, and
You
Cenk,
don't mind that
Cenk,
Israel
one-
just murdered
one moment,
15,000
Cenk.
of them.
Cenk, I'm going to pull moderator prerogative moment. Let's just take a breath and take it down 10 degrees. I understand you're both riled because you both care about this.
Okay. So there is
And-
no need to take the higher moral ground. You know, here I speak
No,
on behalf of
you've-
the
you've-
Arab and the Jewish
Mosab,
children.
you've made your
They
point.
are
You've made your
very
point. You've made your
important to
point
me.
effectively and passionately.
I'm
You
not
just-
being
you just
selective,
did.
and I don't need him to put words in my mouth.
15,000 children at a minimum are dead, and you're saying keep going.
Why? Why are they dead?
You're saying keep going.
Why are they dead?
So more children, thousands
Why
more
the
children.
children of Gaza are
I-
dead?
no,
Answer the question.
So it's not because of the Israeli bombs, right? Israel made, the Hamas made the Israelis kill the Palestinian children. It's always the Palestinians' fault. Always, right? You said the Palestinians.
It's not about the Palestinians' fault in this war. I truly hope that inside the Strip of Gaza, there are people that they don't like Hamas. There are been reports that people from Gaza fight the soldiers of Hamas inside of Gaza, in the north part of Gaza. So this is, of course, this is 1 year later, and I found that few months back that this is happening.
Palestinians don't even exist. And you say that you were looking out for them. You were an Israeli spy, right?
I said Palestine does not exist. I did not say
Palestine doesn't exist to this day because Palestine, it was never a country. Okay, Palestine started to exist around the Romans times, and they named the area Palestine. The name Palestine came from the Philistines. Philistines was an ancient people that lived in the area.
Arabs don't exist.
Okay, but you're
Arabs do exist, of course.
claiming that you care about the Palestinians, but you were an Israeli spy. And you said your father sold you out. Didn't you sell out your dad? I'm not saying you shouldn't have. I get why you did it, but you sold him out. He didn't sell you out. You were the traitor.
So basically, right now you're just going on a personal attack. Let me ask you this
No,
question.
because I'm addressing what you
Okay,
said.
I want to answer you.
Okay.
If you had information about a suicide bomber that is about to kill people indiscriminately, would you report them to the authorities?
I didn't blame you for what you did. I said I understand
Answer
what
the
you
question,
did.
yes or no. Would you report
Of
it?
course I would report a terrorist attack.
Would that make you a traitor?
Well, it depends on the situation. But when you
All right.
said that your dad...
In every country, if you become a traitor, you sell out your people, you become a traitor, no matter what. We've seen that with US, how they treated a guy that published secret CIA folders from when he worked in the NSA. I don't remember his name, unfortunately, right now. And he moved to Russia because he was thinking that the government of US lies to the people. And of course, you will be a traitor no matter what you do.
That's just not true.
I'm going to step in again because it has gotten personal. I understand you're both feeling it, and that's just not what we do here. We want to keep it on the points. So
Okay.
I understand feelings have been hurt.
Yeah, but then I need to answer his question. I
want to move on from that question because we're going to keep going in that direction in circles. Fair enough.
But can I answer the...
I got to pull this and move on.
I saw the full video from that, and I need to say something. The moderation on the debate was pretty good because in many situations things got out of hand and they started screaming. Good job.
Okay, very briefly, I want to go to a question that just comes out of the news, and it's the fact that Hamas has a new leader. Yahya Sinwar has taken over. He was the architect of the October 7th attacks, or certainly is given credit for that after the assassination of Haniya. I just want to get your take on whether that changes in any way the dynamic for the possibility of any kind of negotiated settlement between Israel and Hamas, which you have been saying is theoretically possible, you're saying is impossible, but does that change the calculation whatsoever?
See, this is why I don't think, it's not that I don't think that Israel wants peace, and we should distinguish between the people of Israel and the government of Israel. I believe the people of Israel do want peace. I think that they're greatly misguided these days about how to get there. They believe that just killing more Palestinians might get them there. It's never, ever going to get them to peace. It's going to get them to more war. But their government is very clear. And one of the ways that they have prevented peace is they just killed Ismail Haniyeh, who was the moderate within Hamas. Now you can say, oh, no, Hamas has no moderates. They're all Nazis.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. But every movement has somebody who wants to get to peace, wants to do a negotiation, is more moderate relative to their movement, right? And Haniyeh was that guy. And Israel knew that. So they killed the moderate, leaving more extremists like Yahya Sinwar. And now Yahya Sinwar...
What does Israel get out of that, tactically or strategically?
We have to acknowledge the geopolitical circumstance as it stands today. Netanyahu is deeply unpopular in Israel, will almost certainly lose an election if it's called right now. He knows that. Everyone is aware of that. That is why a lot of Israelis are frustrated with Netanyahu for not getting the hostages back home for his own political ambitions. So the only way that the election would be called now is if the far right-wing Ben Gvir and Smotrich pull out of the government. The only way that they would pull out of the government is if there's a ceasefire. And they have said that very clearly on the record. They have said if there's a ceasefire, we're going to end this government and Netanyahu will lose probably this time forever. So Netanyahu has every incentive to kill the moderates inside Hamas so that the extremists take over. And he goes, oh, well, golly, gee, I double can't get to a peace deal.
Okay, let me take the question also to you, Mosab, about Sinwar taking over. Does that change the calculation in any way for you?
Look, there is no difference between Sinwar and Haniyeh. They are both complicit in the crime. Both of them have blood on their hands. Both of them sacrificed children as a strategy to gain power, and they couldn't be more careless about the future of the Palestinian children. And I think both leaders must be brought to justice, and if it's not possible and there is no way around it, then killing them is a virtue. Killing them, in fact, is a day of celebration, because we know that heads of evil are being removed from power. Now, for those who dare to question Israel without addressing this evil practice of sacrificing children done by Haniya and Sinwar and all the Palestinian ideologists throughout the century, by the way. If they haven't already condemned this culture that targets children and put them in harm's way, then they don't have the authority to question what Israel is doing. If they want to question what Israel is doing, they first must address this evil practice. Otherwise, they are hypocrites, and they just pose as they are standing on a high moral ground, and they have the authority to question people and label this person this and that person that. This is not how it works. If you want to be truthful, then you have to be truthful all the way.
All right, we're going to take a break. I just want to say to those of you who are listening, there are many, many more debates that we've got on our website. Not all.
Cenk said that 72% of Israelis don't like Netanyahu. This is not something that I could find sources from. I don't know what the percent is right now in 2025. I'm sure that the people from Israel don't like the fact that they've been fighting basically a war that they can't bring their people back after 2 years almost. Oh. And this doesn't make really sense.
All of them reach this level of debate. I'm John Donvan. The question we're taking on, can Israel make peace with Hamas? Our guests are Cenk Uygur and Mosab Hassan Yousef. Let me say that again, and Mosab Hassan Yousef. What we like to do in our debates at this point is ask for people who are experts in the topic or following the topic to also submit questions that I'll read to you, and some of them have given a lot of thought to these. The first one I want to bring in it comes from Nicole Naraya, who is a senior politics reporter at Vox, who has covered the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict extensively and helped lead the organization's coverage of the Gaza war. Her question is this: the kind of regional escalation many experts warned of is now here. In the wake of the recent assassinations of top Hamas and Hezbollah leaders, Hezbollah and its Iranian allies are expected to retaliate harshly. The U.S. is moving military assets to the Middle East in preparation. Full-scale war appears possible. Will that force Israel to turn its attention away from Hamas in Gaza, if only because it faces a more pressing threat along its northern border with Lebanon? To what extent might that force Netanyahu's hand in accepting a Gaza ceasefire deal and shift Israeli public opinion on continuing the war in Gaza? Would you like to take that first?
Sure. Nothing's going to force Netanyahu to take a ceasefire deal, because if he does, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich leave the government. He loses power. He doesn't care about the Israeli people. He obviously doesn't care about the hostages. My God, he has no concern at all for the Palestinians or the giant war he's trying to start in the Middle East. He has no concern for the Americans who have to pay for it in both blood and treasure for the wars he's starting. All he cares about is me, me, me. And that's why 72% of Israelis say that he should leave, and he's deeply unpopular. And so that's why I say never say that all Israelis are this way or that way. Like any nation, there's great variety. And right now, like a lot of nations, they're like, we did not like Dick Cheney and George Bush when they...
Right now, Netanyahu started bombing Iran, as we know. And a few days ago, he attacked Syria. And the reason is, in Iran, they tried to make nuclear weapons, and Syria because the Syrian government attacked a minority of Druze, if I remember correctly. That was his reasoning for that.
Executed the Iraq War. A lot of Israelis don't like Netanyahu. Is he agitating for more war? Of course, he bombed Tehran, Beirut, and Damascus. How much more of a warmonger can you be? So, I mean, you talk about sacrifice.
It's really weird to think that someone from the Democrats says something like that. Let's remember Serbia, Afghanistan, Vietnam, whatever. There are so many people, so many things Americans did. No matter if they were Democrats or Republicans. Okay, let's put that aside.
Sacrificing children. I don't.
Even if I remember correctly, Barack Obama in his last term, he tried to start a war.
I keep saying I can't stand that 34 kids were killed in Israel. I can't stand that over 15,000 kids have been killed in the Palestinian areas. But how could you possibly say, can you believe Hamas killed those kids? But you won't say, can you believe Netanyahu killed the Palestinian kids? So many more. A stadium.
You can't say that. This is beyond me. In the one side, he blames Hamas. On the other side, he blames Netanyahu. Netanyahu is not just one thing. He's just the leader of Israel. Okay.
Full of kids. Isn't that enough?
Because I can say the same thing with Hamas. Hamas attacks Israel and Hamas kills her own people just to survive.
Anything ever enough? No. It's all Hamas's fault. They made us kill them. They made us do this. We're never going to get to peace with them because
they started it.
They're the violent ones. Well, when you kill 35 times.
When you don't return the hostages after almost 2 years.
Times as many civilians as they did, you don't get to say that they're the violent ones because you're 30 times as violent. But I'm never going to hold that against the Israeli people. I just want to get the peace so we can have two beautiful nations. We've got to get.
Hamas has proven that she doesn't want something like that. They don't want peace. PLO did the same thing. They were fighting for years with Israel. For years. Egypt fought for years with Israel. They found a way. You know what? This thing doesn't work. Let's be peaceful between the two nations. We don't need to be friends. Okay. And let's move on. But both sides need to agree that, you know what, this is the end of it. If only the one side wants to stop it, that doesn't work.
There, and the way to get.
Because in the past, Israel let the Gaza Strip away from it. And Israel made a wall around Gaza Strip. Also, Egypt made a giant wall on Gaza Strip.
There is not more war, it's more peace.
Do you want me to repeat the question, or do you want to respond to Cenk's response?
Well, I think you're just a hypocrite.
Okay, now you're getting personal.
And I think, yes, I am personal.
Well, let's not call each other hypocrites
thing
or
is,
other names, okay?
You have children.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to choose between your two children and other people's children, what do you choose? If you had no choice,
but
their
you do
children,
have a choice. You have no choice but to murder 15,000
their
kids.
children or your children. What would you choose?
I'm stepping in again because
Can you answer this question?
We're getting to very rhetorically obvious questions that are not helping people understand the issue that's
because he
debate
cannot
here.
because he cannot answer this question, because if it
All
comes
right.
to
I
him and
already
his
answered
family,
it.
then it's a different
So
business.
you would kill.
The last point was something else. Okay. because any parent in the world, they will choose their own children over the other ones. So let's be serious. And that's that. I just found that the disappointment on the face of Netanyahu from the Israelis right now is around 58 to 60%. That depends, of course, on which side you read from the Israelis. So the number 72% doesn't exist 1 year later. So I wanted to add that up because I just found it. Be better.